Aloha. I wanted to make a quick video, jump off the last video and go where I was talking about beyond the flat earth and kind of go into the mind control process of this physical reality and the separation program as a whole, and the buying into the destructive intelligence, and how we are not only separated from our selves, our true selves, our higher selves, our family, our culture, but our ideas of reality. And that's basically what the entire globe model is based upon. That's what the colonial system is based upon, separating you from understanding the depths of your essence. But what does that actually mean? Like, what does that, why? So when I ask why, and I'm thinking about the birth experience, the life experience, and the death experience, which is actually just two births, life and death, or birth and the idea of death, how I see it, is really, so how I was seeing is that you come into this reality on a blank slate. You don't remember anything, really. As a kid, I mean, you do remember. There are kids who remember past lives and all kinds of other stuff. And then eventually, just like kids who forget their dreams or fall into a reality where they disconnect from remembering their dreams, it's because, and I mentioned this in previous videos, is because you are more anchoring yourself in the physical reality. So you can see that as a separation from your essence. So you are, in a sense, formalizing your artificial ego when you're going to kindergarten and learning how to play with blocks and colors and the alphabet and numbers and basic math, as opposed to understanding your spiritual connections to nature, consciousness, your family, your culture, and history as a whole. That's a completely different idea of interacting with your reality that far surpasses the vibration, the frequencies of the dumbing down conformity grid of like the public education system on into the university system. That's basically a mind control grid to keep you from flying, to keep you from going into those spaces. And I took it to the extreme of really just understanding, like, okay, well, flat earth is like one of the biggest things out there in my perspective, because the globe model is such a big part of separating individuals from nature and understanding their infinite connections to the Most High, to their ancestors, to their basic cultural connections and roots as a whole. So that's how I see it, and how I was expanding that into the death experience is, for example, like, so starting from the beginning, we come into this experience from birth. We don't have any language or anything, so we kind of just are housing all of this information, and then we are formalizing our reality in order for us to have an experience as we get older, and our parents are teaching us to be a part of this reality based upon what their parents taught them. And and it's all based upon the artificial ego. So much so that some parents even don't want their kids to expand beyond them. Some parents actually keep their kids down and have like battles and have this sort of competition with each other, with like a father and son or mother and daughter or whatever, in order to, because that's how far their egos have gone, and that's how far their understandings of their reality has gone, so caught up in how they look or how they are perceived by others. It gets thrown out of whack, and that's all good for the control grid as a whole, because it's based upon separation. This is why you have technology in between families, in between culture, in between information and everything, so you don't empower yourself. So I want to stay on track because I want to keep this video kind of short, because it was just an observation that I had. I was watching Star Trek at the gym, and the Star Trek Next Generation. I was seeing like, man, this stuff has been around for decades, and people really believe in this stuff. There's people like, I have friends who are so, they call themselves Trekkies, and they perceive their reality based upon Star Trek. Like when they look in the stars, they're looking at potentially the Starship Enterprise out there flying around, going fighting the evil forces of the galaxy or whatever. Like this is how far, and the intention behind Hollywood and the system as a whole is to not only separate you from your spirit, but to install a program so that when you do release yourself from the anchors of this physical reality, you are so separated from your reality, have bought so much into the idea, the artificial ego, the magic spell that has been installed, that you choose to re-engage in that reality. So imagine right now if you like died 10 seconds ago and you're the same person, you're still alive right now, the idea of alive right now, because you're the same consciousness, and consciousness through different experiences has the ability to expand. But if you get caught up within the experience and held down within that experience, then you're not really expanding. That's like at the baseline. But also be on top of that, if you simultaneously buy into the illusory experience, which is basically the artificial intelligence grid, the destructive intelligence grid, the artificial reality, when you do pass on and you're still that individual and you have no connection to spirit, you have no connection to what your ancestors were connected to, you have no idea what the planes of existence are truly existing as. Your basic understanding of your reality is Star Trek, Star Wars, Armageddon, the Gravity movie, all these theories, the evolution program, the Big Bang theory. You're basically floating. You're a soul. So you're the soul who died 10 seconds ago. You're the soul experiencing your death experience as the consciousness that you have raised it to through your life up until your 10-second ago death. Still experiencing you're in transition. So you have two choices. You can either buy into what you believe is your reality, or you let go because you have a connection with spirit, with source. These are your two choices. That just like you have a choice within the reality as alive in the physical reality of today, you can believe yourself to be completely separated from all that is and say, well, I'm successful, I'm this, I'm that, and there is no spirit, there is no soul, there is no connection to everybody and everything else, there is no Most High. You can say all that stuff, and when you pass on, if you continue to make that, or to hold on to that as your reality, as opposed to tapping into the roots of understanding that there is something more than this basic, generic, artificial reality, then that is where the control grid has made itself out to be your God. This is what the university system is based upon. They create your universe, your city, your universe, to lock you into an idea of your reality. So when you pass on, you'll just buy right back into the program. So let's say you pass on 10 seconds ago and you're faced with some kind of liaison or something like that, which is part of this physical reality experience. This is just me throwing out these ideas of how I perceive what this transition phase might be like. because people talk about a lot about recycling and souls getting trapped and all that stuff. So this is how I perceive that reality. It's based upon, anyway, this is just how I see it. So you have this liaison who's going to come up to you, and this was actually this is actually brought up and told to you in all kinds of different movies and stories and Star Trek, and this is not only my perspective, this has been brought up from there. I'm just adding to it by locking it all together. So so you're in that space, you're the soul experiencing your transition space as the consciousness that you have opened up to from during your lifetime. And this liaison says, well, what were your desires? What were your, like, what did you accomplish, like, what you wanted to accomplish? Most people will say, like, no, or they could have done this, they could have done that, and everybody will have whatever. Well, the people who are locked into the artificial reality, most people will, or the other people will, the other energies will understand that, this is, I'm in a transition space, I'm in the Most High space, so I'm just going to let go and then merge into whatever the next vibration is. But for the individuals who are more anchored in the physical reality and the artificial ego version of their soul experience as a whole, and they desire, when you desire more based upon the reality that you are, that is another version of separation. So when in that transition space, your mind control has now, if you are in that reality, the mind control has become your consciousness. And your consciousness is now boxed into the physical reality. And your physical reality is based upon your lower chakras. So your root chakra, your survival mode, your fear mentalities, your sacral chakra, your sexual desires, your wanting to, have a family and all that stuff, and reproduce within the physical reality as if that's if that's all. And then you have the solar plexus, these are all your subtle bodies, your lower bodies, which is your willpower, which is manipulated into the artificial ego space of like being in power, being in control, and utilizing your creative fire for a destructive intelligence, or however you buy into the reality. Whatever it is, it's a selfish version of how and what you desire based upon the physical reality. So all of this can only take shape if you are separated from what has already been understood here by the ancestors, which was written in the walls by hieroglyphics and in the pyramids and all this other stuff, when they understood their relationship to the Most High and to spirit as a whole. So if you are connected with any of that, you will question the reality that gets presented to you when you are moving on, and that will make that space, just like a dream, unstable. And when you make it unstable, you will transition into that next space, which is your merging with the Most High, or your source energy, or whatever your next experience is. If your conscious mind has been locked into the mind control grid and continues to convince itself that your desires are more important than your expression of the Most High as the Most High in this reality, meaning letting go and being a part of what your higher self is already experiencing, which is an expression of what the Most High and your angels and your guides and ancestors have all teamed up to have you be doing. If you locked into that separation grid, because you have that choice, you have that free will choice. If you desire that, then that will be your reality. And this goes into the video before last when I was talking about like the 51st or the 49th percentile of individuals who will choose to be a part of the separation program, or will you choose to be reconnected with the Most High Spirit. And this is the ultimate challenge. This is why it's so difficult, is because you're not born into sin. You are born into a clean slate that is fully, consciously, in a sense, consciously separated from your idea of spirit, because you've locked into the physical reality. And it's your mission or your challenge in this dream to reconnect with that spirit or that source energy. And if you don't do that and you lock into the idea of the artificial ego, then that's your choice. And then you'll continually recycle in that experience until you come back. Until you finally come back. So that's what this whole physical reality, how I'm seeing it, is based upon. And that's what the globe model is largely based upon, when you understand separating consciousness, individuals, cultures, the collective, from understanding their connection to nature and the connection to the creative intelligence as a whole, when you start looking into the design of the earth plane. So basically, yeah, when you're in that space, you can be asked like, oh, well, here you'll be given like in order to trick, because this is trickster magic to trick you into the physical reality. So whatever your desires are based upon your artificial ego, that liaison or that transition phase, in order to keep these souls locked into this space, they'll present to you whatever your vibratory space has is anchored in. So maybe you wanted like the best relationship ever, like that's what you desired, and then that's your reality. And then you since you don't have any connection with spirit, and you base your entire reality off of that, then you will choose that. You'll choose, okay, well, it's all about relationship. And if you're sucked into the lower bodies as your reality, then it'll be easy to lock you into that space. But if you've transitioned over that into the heart chakra, into your third eye, into reconnecting to your throat chakra and the higher spaces connected to your crown and the source, then you will understand that if you are in that transition space, or the death space that people call it, it'll be harder to try to convince people that their desires or whatever it is that they are is based upon this physical reality. So they might even, the so-called they, energetically can show you an actual spinning ball as your planet. And it's so beautiful, clouds moving and all, unlike the NASA images. Clouds moving, zoomed in to cities, zoomed into your potential relationship and your reality, whether it's based upon having a family or having your perfect wife or your perfect husband or your perfect job or your perfect whatever it is that you have chosen. Yeah, maybe you've chosen to be a successful business guy. You want to be the CEO of Microsoft. That's what your dreams are. This is what the American dream is based upon. Creating a false idea of a false crown. So you buy into the American dream crown and this idea of success and popularity or being famous or whatever. You buy into all this stuff, whatever it is, and you separate yourself from your spiritual crown, your spiritual essence, why you exist, your meaning and your purpose. So depending on how convinced your consciousness has been locked into the physical reality and separated from spirit as a whole, that's how I see what the whole weighing of your heart against the feather of Ma'at is, when you are in that transition space in your death birth. How much have you reconnected with your spirit and what are you going to choose? That's just like how I understand those hieroglyphics of that transition space. So anyway, like, so you can either buy into the you can buy into like, oh, you want to be a CEO, or you want to be like part of a crew wherever you are, because some people are just like they're very simple and just want to be like a manager, and that's their reality. Like they've been working 40 years as an associate or an assistant manager, and they just want to be a manager. So let's say they died 10 seconds ago, and now these liaisons come and say, hey, do you want to be a manager? Don't you want to be a manager? You can have this, this, and this. You can have all these cool friends, and people will be like Dwight Schrute from The Office, and be like, if he just passed, and he was like, oh, you want to be Michael? You want to be Michael now? I was like, yeah, I want to be in charge of everything, and I can have like 10 beet farms and whatever it is, your biggest dreams. And then at the end, it's like, well, you have to work for it. Like, this is your potential. This is your timeline. You'll make it if you stay on this course. And then the soul will say, oh, well, I can do that. Meanwhile, you're totally in that space, like in a dream reality, constantly creating your reality in a higher vibration. In that reality, you're reinstalling, that's you reinstalling a software program to manifest the hardware program of your physical vessel. And if you reinstall a software program, because it's being installed by a virus, by a parasitic host, and if you install that software in that vibratory space of transition between your body and whatever it is next. This is just me, how I perceive this stuff. This is just coming in right now, so as I'm speaking. The software program that gets installed based upon your desires and your level of consciousness that you think you are, if you base your software on the artificial reality, then you will manifest the physical reality based upon that parasitic software. And your biggest dreams will be presented to you in that idea of what it all is, whether it's you want to be the manager of Dunder Mifflin or whatever it is. You want to be famous. You want to be like Kim Kardashian or Kanye West or whatever it is. It's based upon the illusion, the separation program. This is why we have to be vibratorily vibrationally bombarded by frequencies of a lower vibration all the time. So when you're listening to Pandora and you hear like a Burger King commercial and they say, don't you love the new classic BLT double Whopper, whatever, like, don't you, they're telling you this is a vibration to play with your overall frequency, and it's all connected. So you, if you're still eating fast food, you are okay with it, or even if you're not, you're still struggling with it. If you're struggling with it, then those frequencies make you more okay with it because of that. So don't you just love? And then the music they play is like this upbeat music. They're selling you a vibration. And that vibration is based upon the artificial reality, the physical, dense program of anchoring you in the illusion of self-destructive programming. Basically, these are parasitic programs that are being locked into your software, which is ultimately a reflection of your spiritual essence. But if you convince your software to be looking a certain way and feeling a certain way, and then when you pass on, then you perceive it like that, then you as the spiritual essence will remanifest a reality based upon whatever it is that you've been convinced into. So this kingdom, this artificial reality kingdom, is based upon the artificial ego, the vanity, the fame, the fortune, the physical, the fiat currency, the maritime admiralty system. And to go even further, than that. This is why they keep everything in NASA a secret. This is why they keep technology and everything a secret, because that's a way to trap you, because you're powerless, you're hopeless, you're everything that you base your reality on, your sovereign soul is based upon that reality is based upon having controllers, having somebody else dictate your life for you. This is why it has to be so extreme with the military industrial complex. They are in charge of actually killing bodies. You vote for the system as a whole to go overseas and drop bombs on other souls. You're okay with that. Not only okay with it, but celebrating it, singing songs, making songs. And this is another thing, like that Burger King commercial when I was in the Army. Every time you went to some kind of ceremony or some kind of class or whatever it was, that damn song was playing. I'm proud to be an American. Well, at least I know I'm free. Like, that shit is still in my head. I can't stand that shit. Same thing goes with cadence. But everywhere you go, every time there was something official going on, you were underneath that spell that I'm proud to be, and it like breaks you down into tears because you have signed your contract, your soul away to protect the lyrics to that song. So basically that's your soul essence. You're like, yeah, I did something. This is me doing something. And in the innocent space of a soldier, you did do something. You have let go because you're not, the human essence doesn't want to go out and do that, but it really says something for an individual to sign a contract and let themselves go for something bigger than them. This is how the program works on a soul level. And until we start to reconnect the souls of the individuals that are all around the earth plane into that one essence, then we won't realize that this is being manipulated against us. So there's the mind control program that exists like that. And then there's the desire essence that is in and around our reality, that personally. So on a soul level, you have that relationship that's constantly being reconnected to in every moment, in every thought, in every day, in everything that you research. You have that soul reality. When you wake up in the morning, you are still your soul experience. Just you've just convinced yourself that you are more of the physical reality experience. So you have the physical reality experience of your lower bodies, and that's basically what it boils down to. Are you more of your lower bodies or your higher bodies, rooted from an understanding of the lower bodies at the same time? And in an innocent space, like when children pass on, there's less programming, less software manipulation that goes on there. So you're surrounded by more guides and ancestors for people who have lost younger children. And I shared that I had an older brother who passed from SIDS, and my mom was having difficulty understanding, like, because we weren't raised on any kind of religion or anything, difficulty understanding like what happened, why does that stuff happen, and where his energy went, what happened in that whole space. So I've never verbalized it like that until now, but that's more how I'm experiencing what happens to the innocent ones who pass on like that. So yeah. So back to the control grid, because there's the thing I want to end on. So you're faced with, like, so maybe you were like overweight your entire life, or you were sick your entire life, and all you wanted to do was be like look a certain way. You want it to be like fine or desired. Like since you have a desire to be desired or whatever it is based upon the physical reality, and not, this is why all of the world or all of the mainstream is based upon like titties and ass, and the social media is bombarded by like, and the Hollywood is bombarded by this particular version of what beauty is, and it has nothing to do with the character. Absolutely nothing to do with your character or your intelligence or your connection to spirit at all. That is the mainstream thing. And there's an intention behind that. Why? Why is it like that? So anyway, this is how I'm seeing why it's like that. So maybe your whole life you were overweight, and every day you woke up, you wanted to be something or somebody else, and then you're presented with another software program. Hey, you can live this software. You'll be this person, and you'll have the potential to be this person, and you'll help these people. You'll help these people who are also overweight, and then you can be a personal trainer. You used to be overweight, or you used to be really sick or whatever, and now you can be a personal trainer. You're like, oh, wow, that's all I really wanted. In that energy, you're recreating a hardware program, which is the next physical experience. This is how I'm seeing it from like a computer version reality, which is still mostly your soul. I'm just using the computer version reality as an example to explain like the soul transition space. This experience is being manipulated by the simulation program, the simulation theory, to anchor more of your reality based upon technology. And that is more of a deeper enslavement program. So now your software program, your soul software, is now anchored even deeper into the hardware program. So now you can be a super soldier. You can be a super genius. Like, were you dumb in your life that you just left 10 seconds ago? Were you just an idiot? And now you can be Einstein. You have the potential to do this. Like, oh, really? I can do all of this. I can be Einstein. And I'm knowing Einstein and all his shit is all based upon bogus ass ideas and all kinds of other stuff anyway. So this is why all these Newtonian theories and all this other stuff, this is why this exists, because it has to be artificial. It has to be a parasitic software program in order to convince you as the soul to re-manifest a hardware program based upon a virus, not your soul software. So the virus has gotten so extreme that it's manifested into the transhumanism program, to further convince individuals when they pass on or whatever, to lock into the physical reality even more, because now you believe it's changing. Now this is the future, and you can have power laces on your shoes. You can have a flying car. You can have a jacket that dries on its own. You can live in 2015. You can have all this stuff. All of it based upon the illusion, the entire illusion. Anchored in the globe model, still anchored in the maritime admiralty system, still in that hopeless state of being. Because that's, and if your desire is more than than the change of existing outside of that space, and if you get convinced in that, then that's what'll get created. I've never really put this stuff to words before. I've heard the little pieces here and there about like whatever, but I just wanted to kind of like zoom in onto it, because when I was watching Star Trek, that's what it really popped up to me. I was just like, man, people are really like believing that their universe, their galaxy, that this is going to be their future, and that this is what the whole consciousness as a whole is based upon. So like the CERN idea is just another version of kind of co-opting consciousness to trick it into the parasitic version of experiencing your reality. So if the Mandela effect is just a streamlined example of consciousness being experienced by separate souls so-called separate souls, and remembering things like, and seeing these changes and shifts and timelines and all this other stuff, from that perspective, from that connection grid. And then the bully jumps and says, "No, we're doing it. We did it because we're CERN. See, we've been doing this for 50 years. We've been crashing particles for decades. So if you're experiencing the Mandela effect, it's just because we did it. It's not because you did anything. You guys are just dumb monkeys. You don't have a consciousness. Like, anything that happens on that kind of space is because we did it. We're CERN. We know about this esoteric information. Don't you see us doing these ritualistic dances? Don't you see these symbols being used? Don't you see Shiva out in front of the CERN building? Don't you see the 666 in the CERN icon? Don't you see all this symbolism? We're super smart. So anything that's happening in your consciousness is because we did it. This is that mentality of that control grid, that university system. These professors, they want to bully you into separating yourself from spirit by locking you into the artificial understanding of your reality based upon a parasitic software and hardware. This is what the transhumanism is. So maybe you wanted to be a superpower. Maybe you wanted to be like whatever you wanted to be. Maybe you were so jaded in your entire lifetime that you wanted to be like an evil doctor. You want to be Dr. Evil. And those people will buy right into it because they play right into the system of separation. They're so far gone, so far separated from their spiritual essence, and realizing that this is all an experience, that they want to go back and they want, revenge or whatever it is. Like, I want revenge. I want to go back in there and do all whatever it is. It's a lower vibrating essence. It all exists in the solar plexus and below. All that stuff. Based upon control, ego. So whatever it is that you desire, that software program will be manipulated by the so-called control grid liaisons in order to convince you, or attempt to convince your software, you to utilize your software program, which is your soul, to remanifest a hardware program based upon the illusion. Maybe you wanted to be a president. Maybe you wanted to be like, or want to be like in charge of, like you think you can make a difference in this program. Like you think you can make a difference in politics. Like, you've been a mayor for 30 years and then you've always wanted to be the president of the United States. So you died 10 seconds ago as the mayor. Now you're like, oh, well, you could be the president. You could do this. You could do all that. Really? I could be the president? I could do this? Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. You just got to do this again. If that's already in line, yeah, I can say that's easy. I can stay on that course. You will have little key points here and there that'll keep you on this point. Oh, that sounds good. You see, it's basically piecing together your illusion because you have separated yourself from the allness, from spirit as a whole. You're buying into the artificial reality, buying into the illusion. And in order for an individual to do that and get caught up in that transition space from the physical into your star space, your soul transition space, in order to get caught up in here, then you have to base your entire reality off of the physical reality that you think you are in. So this is why it's so crucial to have an idea of the globe model, and have a lack of idea of a creative intelligence or a creator as a whole, and a disconnect from nature, and an installation of your idea of the evolution theory, dinosaurs, fear with the nuclear weapons programs, and that whole idea, these illusions. I was like, you can make a difference. You could stop this. You could do that. It's like, if all that was an illusion, then you are installing a program based upon an illusion. You are manifesting your hardware as an illusion. So, like the individuals who are, so like the television shows that go on for decades, how many children have been born underneath the Star Trek program? How many consciousnesses have lived and died within realizing or perceiving their reality based upon the stars and the planets and the spaceships that are presented to you by Star Trek and Star Wars? How many sovereign spirits perceive their reality from this expression? And when you pass on, like say you've done everything that you can, you've even separated yourself from the earth, like you have no desires to work on earth. Maybe your only desire is to be in the Star Trek Next Generation, because that's what you think your next level is. You think that's what the next reality is. And that's why I'm seeing this whole New Age program is going to. It's creating another realm, another in-between realm, another artificial universe. Just like the television, you're watching a television show, you're watching CGI. But when you convince sovereign entities, spirits, software programs into the idea of Star Trek and the CGI Hubble images and the CGI Earth and the CGI Saturn and Jupiter and Interstellar the movie and Gravity the movie and Armageddon the movie and Star Wars, all the movies, you're creating another experiential program within the artificial reality through the sovereign beings who are constantly being bombarded and evolved within this space. This is what movies are. This is why it is. This is me taking it to, like, just throwing stuff out there, thinking about like how and why this stuff works to the extreme, because this flicker rate mentality stuff does exist on your soul level. So I'm just throwing out there how the why of how this stuff exists in our reality. So yeah, so you can be the most spiritual individual on the earth plane, but if you have no idea or even if you have no desire in the earth plane, but you have a desire for Star Trek, you have a desire for Star Wars, you have a desire for whatever universe you've created your so-called next generation, your next regeneration to be, that will be your next experience, and you will create hardware in that reality. And the liaisons will catch your essence. Some people refer to them as the Archons and all kinds of stuff. I haven't gone into that. So I've looked into some of Dolores Cannon's stuff and all that back in the day. But this is just coming from just how I'm perceiving this reality. But the Archons did come up as far as like the liaisons between spirits transitioning from the physical reality into whatever your next space will be. So anyway, that was just a little side note from that. So in that transition space, when those liaisons are telling you, oh, okay, well, you have no desire for Earth. Oh, okay, now you've graduated. Now you can move on to the next generation. You are now part of Star Trek or Star Wars, or did you want to be like Spock or Picard, or do you want to just be a human that just flies around in space? Whatever it is, you can exist in the so-called future. That so-called future is based upon, it only exists because your consciousness has artificially created that reality, that universe. And when you have billions of consciousness, sovereign beings, sovereign souls, creating in the ethers an entire universe Well, that's no different than the globe model. None at all. People base their entire reality based upon the globe model. The Star Trek spaceships and the movies, Hollywood as a whole, is no different. It's the exact same program as having a globe in your 5th grade class. It's the same thing. Constantly bombarding flickerating your reality. You're desiring every year to have it. Oh, I wish they had another Star Wars. Wish they had another Star Trek. They coming out with these new movies over and over and over again because your consciousness, your software program is creating another universe, literally another universe for an artificial and interdimensional, like the in-between space, in the in-between space. Not in your maximum potential, but in the in-between space, you are creating this universe based upon whatever the parasitic program has created. So like I said, you can ascend from the earth plane and have no desires on the earth plane, and all you want to do is travel around in Starfleet, and well, that can be just a computer program. That can be just another computer program. If you have no connection to spirit, if you have no real if you're more anchored in that desire to be part of Starfleet, as opposed to reconnecting with your soul essence and the spirit, then that will be no different than you wanting to be president of the United States, or you wanting to be manager of Dunder Mifflin. It's just another software program that will manifest the hardware program of that universe. So you can exist in the universe of Dunder Mifflin, or you can exist in the universe of Star Trek or Star Wars, whatever it is. It still exists in the separation program of duality, locking you in to that separation program. So this is why Star Trek and Star Wars exists. So you can think that the entire you can think that the entire reality is only based upon this good and evil perspective of reality, when there is more than that. Not even to mention the fact that the Most High exists. The soul essence exists within everybody. So when you're in that transition space and you're given, like, do you want to be a Jedi? Did you think about that? Since you have no desire to be on Earth, we don't need you on Earth. You don't want to be on Earth. Well, why don't you just be a Jedi? And now you can fight the forces of evil in the Galactic Federation of Light. Did you ever think about that? How about that? Like, yeah, I want to do that. This is another desire program. So installing the software based upon the duality system. When you have the ability, the potential to graduate or pass on from this space and reconnect with your higher self that is existing outside of the lower vibrations of this creative and destruction, on and off frequency, creative and destruction vibration. So this is how I'm seeing what I didn't think I was going to go into, that whole the creating of the universe space out of that, the artificial universe space, but that's exactly how I'm seeing it. I really just wanted to expand upon the idea of being locked into, sucked back into the earth experience, the physical reality through your lower bodies, because your chakras, your energy portals as a whole are gateways. So just like the stars, they're your gateways. So when you are transitioning from this body through your star, in that transition space is when your hardware gets manipulated by the software program, or the parasitic software program, by these transitional liaisons. If you want to know more about the Archons and all that kind of stuff, I would suggest looking into Dolores Cannon and her kind of stuff for that. And that's where I heard. There's other people who speak on that stuff who have mentioned the Archons and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's how I was seeing it, seeing this whole transition phase or transition space of what it is or what it could be, based upon what I've researched in my experience. So yeah, it'd be cool to see what kind of comments come out of this. So if you had anything to add to this, or if you're seeing where I'm coming from or whatever, then please leave some comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, thumb it down. But yeah, I appreciate you for hanging out and receiving this information. It's probably one of the most extreme videos, how I'm feeling it now, that I've put out there, as far as content goes. But this is how I'm seeing this stuff. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and until next time, from All My Relations, peace, love, and harmony.